how early should the parents start teaching their child to swim?
Okay, so I have a different couple of thought processes behind this, and I've tended to gravitate more to one side these last couple of, maybe within the year or so. But um, I have a little bit of a love-hate relationships with parent and baby classes, and
You mean
I
toddlers?
yeah, so yeah, toddlers. So you have parent and baby. So parent and baby will be classed up to about 12 months old, and then you have parent and toddlers that tend to be 12 months to 3, and then preschoolers at 3, 4, and so
Right.
on. So with regards to, let's say, the younger ones where the parent is required to be within the water, then I feel as though that it's become a little bit too commercialized. So that's why I say I've come to a little bit of a love-hate relationship. So I feel that parents have now been stripped of feeling confident to teach their own children, because I do feel as though they do have the skills to be able to do that, because as a child is going through their learn to swim process, it's nice to hear and have someone there with you to guide you, because you feel as though you may be doing something wrong, but I don't think a parent is doing it wrong. I think it's just been that perception that's now being portrayed. And I feel as though that, so what happens is that when a young child comes to you in your swimming lessons, they go through so much of a developmental process and development through the time that they have. And what then occurs is that it's almost like starting again with them, because once they then become a toddler and they go through the toddlering stage, is that they become completely different to what they were when they were a baby. And then again when they're at preschool. So again, it's almost like starting again.
What do you mean by different?
So what happens? So with a baby, you can pretty much do anything that you want to with them when it's a nice positive experience with them. So if they're comfortable in the water and you're doing a submersion or pouring water on their heads or something, they, because they innately love the water, because of course they've been in the womb and water, it's like second nature for them. It's more natural to be in the water than it is to be on land, because they can move in water
Hmm.
naturally, whereas on land they it's just a bit awkward for them. So you go from where, if they're in that trusted and feel safe relationship with the key person that they're in the water with, it tends to be a really nice experience, unless they've been forced to do something, which this is a whole another topic, a whole something other thing as well, entity. But then it's different in toddlers, because what happens is that they feel invincible. They are really, you know, they because they're walking, they're running, and they're full blown, they're into everything, they're curious, they want to explore everything. That is also transferable in the water. But because we're adding water, the restrictions are so much that they don't like it. Hence why I've also designed my orca, but obviously we'll go into that a little bit later. But so they feel, so a child in that essence feels restrained, so they can't naturally do what their body's naturally telling them what to do. So that's what I mean by it's almost like starting again, because even
Okay.
though they've done maybe what they have done as a baby, they might not want to do it when they've gone through going through those toddler stages, because it also determines of how they've conducted and how the parent has been taught as well, because we're educating the parent at the same time. Is how and what they experience that they've had, because if they start getting that negative experience, even though they're naturally okay in the water at that point, if they are then started to be forced and submerged and do things that they don't want to do, then that will then start having a domino effect when they're a toddler. That's when the fear starts setting in. That's when they start, because they are wanting to do whatever they want to do. They're so independent. They're building themselves as a little person, and they will put their foot down. They're very stubborn, very ecocentric, and that's just who they are. They're just testing their boundaries. So then as you're going through that process, it's almost then trying to provide them a different approach, and the way that you speak to them and the way that you are as a teacher changes, in the sense that you have to be more patient. You have to have more
Right.
strategies up your sleeve. You have to have a bigger toolkit. And you literally have to think on your feet, because
Right.
no one lesson is going to be the same. And it could be that one week little Johnny's doing one thing and he's doing it brilliantly, and then next week he's determined, nope, not doing that. And it's having those skills and that understanding that it's okay that little Johnny is feeling that way, or it could be loads of different things, but that's a whole other topic. But that's why a teacher really needs to have this skill set. So when there are swimming teachers that are young, I mean, I was there once myself, so I totally have been there. But when you've got that experience of being in the water and being around as many children as possible, your teacher toolkit really does become, overfilling, and it's interesting. And then when you go into preschoolers, then it's even, it's even more different. I mean, my favourite. I absolutely love that age group, and
So they start, which age they start, the preschoolers?
so preschoolers is around 3 years old.
3 years
So
old.
they
Okay.
start school. They'll be starting preschool here in the UK at 3, and till 4, and then they start school at 5. So you tend to sort of roll with what the schools do, because
Right.
then you've obviously got to contend them with school swimming. So, which is another thing. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about later about the school
Yeah.
swimming as well.
Um, but I mean, for if someone asked me when would you advise somebody, if you're a parent, when to start swimming, I would say that not that you would be wasting your money, but I would generally start teaching or going to formal swimming lessons when your child is preschool. And the
Right.
reason why I say that is that a child just needs to explore and play for as long as possible in the water. And what's happening, I feel, is that the programs are forced onto a child, and the parent feels as though they're doing the right thing, but they're actually, not all children, but it's having more of a detrimental effect than it is positive. And I feel that that's a reflection then on, unfortunately, drowning rates and things like that. I
Well,
think.
if they are forcing the programs, what do you think? Because obviously the kid doesn't want to do something, and what do you think in that case, that what's the reason why that kid doesn't want to do something? Let's say something that is in the program that every other kid does, but maybe this one doesn't.
So you've got two reasons why a child would be holding on or having a tizzy fit, basically, of not wanting to go
Mm-hmm.
swimming lessons. Either they're fearful or they're
Mm-hmm.
bored and they
Right.
don't want to do it. And that means that they either need to get over their anxiety, so what is the teacher doing in order to help that child, or how are they conducting the lessons? Because if they're conducting lessons that are the same day, week in, week out, and they're just doing drills after drill after drill, even at such a young age, then a child will not want to do it. It's plain and simple. They just don't understand that way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why researching how a child learns rather than what they're learning is more important. Because I talk about a lot of, the more a child moves in the water, the more they're learning. And I feel as though they are now being restricted on how much flexibility that a child has in the water of learning, because it's still very much, no, we're doing this now we're moving on to this, and no, you're not doing that, we're doing this, and oh, you're not listening to me, so you can sit out and wait wait. And it's just become very much too structured and too adult led, as opposed to the teacher thinking, well, how can I be in service to this child? Because
Mm-hmm.
you don't really go into teaching and being with children if you don't like children. It just doesn't make any sense, does it? But
Yep.
if you do watch some teachers, then you would actually think that they really didn't want to be there, which
I
is a
can
shame,
totally
really.
see this. I can totally see this.
Yeah.
And maybe this is their only option because they don't have any other skills, and that's how they make money, the only way they can make
Yeah,
money.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it fits for a for a teenager at college. You've got weekends where you can earn a bit of money, and you've got after college, of an evening if you want to do after school, and the money. In hindsight, is actually, there's not many places that you go and get 25, 35 pound an hour rate, because you could be doing a shift of 3 hours and you'd be getting paid more than you would be doing working in retail for a full
Yeah.
day. So I think that people actually think, oh, actually, like lifeguards, for instance, they tend to then go to swimming lessons because they're actually getting paid per hour double than what they're doing lifeguarding and sitting there. Which, it's great that they are doing that because they're watching and things, but ultimately I don't think at that age you've got the two different individuals, haven't you? You've got those that, no, actually I really quite see myself doing this long term and I want to do it, or you've got those that purely do it for money. Yeah, which
Do you
is,
think do you think we have not enough people who do it for passion and really wanting to teach compared to just like doing it because that's the only job that they could be getting?